gas ourselves up, but we short on breath. Talking about we eating, but who we really cooking. Dreaming about greens, but ain't nobody looking. No land, no acres, no seeds in the ground. When the hunger hits, who's gonna be around? We starving every day, and it just ain't the food. Feeding the hood garbage, got 'em acting a fool. We flossing with rides, stunting with chains, but these bars we spitting just bring more pain. We guilty as hell, preaching all these lies, selling debt to the kids, and we acting surprised. We commercialize the pain, broadcast the grief, tell the youth to hustle, but hide the beef. We glorify the trap, invite them to the flames, just like Reagan brought the crack on planes. Back in the 80s when the streets got soaked, my people, my brothers, all got choked. Reagan said no trades, but we know the deal. He left us in the dirt, man, that shit was real. I was just a shorty watching it unfold, old enough to see how we got sold. War on drugs, but it was war on us. Cops on our necks, no love, no trust. They labeled us thugs, beast on the block, made us kiss the pavement while they cleaned our clock. Prison became business thanks to Reagan's game. Free labor is the truth in America's name. Slavery's dead, man. That's just a word. Read the 13th Amendment, it's still absurd. They lock us in cages, serving time for life. Double digits for wisdom, cutting sharp like a knife. I'm here to say, the chains in the air, it's time we break free, start showing we care. No more flexing for nothing, no more selling out. It's time to rise up, time to end. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This morning, I'll be talking about paid opposition, the disenfranchised voters' reality. But before we get into all that, I got Don Tripp, Time Flies, and I'll be right back right after this. I can get it to play.
Oh my, time flies, still no tears down my eyes. Oh, guess it's just how it goes. Yeah, when you live purely, you'll surely endure things that your heart could stop pacing for. So why would I forgive you? You know what you did to me. Why would I forgive you? Yeah. You know what you did to me. Yeah. You know.
Flash motherfucker in the history of aviation. Any nigga tell you different, sadly mistaken. Thoroughbred Memphis nigga, never been to Graceland. From the gutter, from the slums, from a fucking wasteland. All my dreams come from watching Tigger in the basement. Now we in the streets spinning like we learned to break dance. On the corner rolling stones like a fucking caveman. Day in and day out, serving out the days in. Bit my bills due, 9 to 5, barely keep the lights on. Make it out of hell, damn right you throwing ice on. Fuck you think we doing here? Bitch, I get the big bucks, simply for the cake. Don't you ever get it mixed up, staying out the in crowd. I know I ain't missed much, your bitch wasn't pretty till she went and got a nip tuck. Looking at my bank account, feeling like $1 million. 8 babies later and I still could never give a fuck. Long live
oh
pills.
My, time flies, still no tears down my eyes. Oh, guess it's just how it goes. Yeah, when you live purely, you'll surely endure things that your heart could stop pacing for. So why would I forgive you when you know what you did to me? Why would I forgive you? You know what you did did to me. You know.
Shit ain't what it is, shit ain't what it seemed. The way it ended up, feeling like a bad dream. Put in so much work to end up with not a thing. Motherfucker did me dirty, but I came out clean. Ain't no going back and forth, this ain't no motherfucking swing. You either is or you ain't, but I ain't no in between. Trying to run my money up, I'ma get it by all means. For what you talking about, bitch, yeah, just wait and see. Cause at the end of the day, I only ended up with me. If you ain't on non-positive, stay the fuck away from me. At the end of the day, I only ended up with me. If you ain't on non-positive, stay the fuck away from me. Dollar.
Oh my, time flies, still no tears down my eyes. Oh, guess it's just how it goes. Yeah, when you live purely, you'll surely endure things that your heart could stop pacing for. So why would I forgive you when you know what you did to me? Why would I forgive you when you know what you did to me?
That was Don Tripp, Time Flies. This morning, they have Ilhan Omar, and I don't want to murder her name or anything like that. I shouldn't say murder, but I don't want to fuck up her name. But another Democratic congresswoman came out here, and they're having they want to call it a field hearing, right? But there's only one side. It's not bipartisan. It's partisan. So this started at a little bit after 9. I was watching it. I didn't watch it all, but I only want to show you the opening statements from the people having the hearing. I think it's Ilhan Omar, Betty McCollum, Tina Smith, Amy Klobuchar, and then you have the testifiers were Keith Ellison, Jacob Fried, and the St. Paul lady, mayor. So I want to play those. It's about 40 minutes long, but I think it's something that we need to get into because you're going to see how our Democratic senators, congressmen, city council, attorney will go fight for immigrants. But when it comes to the poor community, they don't take care of us, right? Because the immigrants have got them a payday. And that's what I can't understand is why these niggas get out here. Why are y'all, this is what they want. Y'all are just playing into the hands, the whole playbook, right? Because they want, there's people, I'm not saying they all, but there are some people that want the Insurrection Act, right? There's others that don't know any goddamn thing about it. Do they even know something that was originated before any of us were born? 1807. None of us were born. So why do we want something that hasn't been used in years? I'm not saying that it won't be good because obviously our Minnesota police aren't doing shit. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. We're still having the same old pain, the same old trauma. It's just that ICE has been added onto it. You know, they want to put this ICE thing out front, but I want people to have in the back of your minds, or not even the back, in the front, right? They can play this shit. They can talk about it, whatever. But I want people to always know that fraud. That's all I want people to think about is fraud. It's not about politics. This is about right and wrong. So I want people, when you think about these situations, to think about what you're looking at right in the mirror, because it's not politics. There is, to me, and I know a lot of people have problems with my comparison, but there's no different from Democrat and Republicans than GDs, Vice Lords, Bloods, Crips, because it's all the same thing, right? It's different flags, same hustle. Same hustle. It's not about the people. It's not. Because I can tell you like this, it doesn't matter what gang organization, they all have some ties into politics. They all do. And right hand to God, I don't think this is my left. Right hand of God. Straight up. If you look back to any of how these street organizations, the only thing that I can really say that hasn't, I can find no governmental ties, is the Black Panthers. Everything else was always started by some white people. Some white people had something to do with it. It was off their dime, it was either off their time, their connections, but it all leads back to the same thing. What people do not want to look at. So when I say white supremacy, right, I'm talking about the government. I'm talking about policies and amendments and things that have been for years. Is anything getting better? No, because we're still going off of words and people's thinking from years ago. From years ago. So when we look at this Constitution now, or we're looking at state constitutions, our city charters of how government runs, how your city is ran, we need to be looking at that, because I can tell you right now, the poor people are getting screwed over. The people that can't depend on politicians because they care more about what's going to bring them money, corporations. Because I really have a hard time seeing these people talking about, I know one of these ladies out here that you're going to hear when I play this, is she was talking about calling the police. Why are you going to call police that have been fucking over, screwing over people? That's why we got PTSD. And y'all just make it worse with ICE. So I really don't understand it. What do we stand up for? Is it right or wrong, or is it politics? So let's get into this. And I don't think I really stop it too much, but listen to, I'm not even going to say they're just Democratic officials. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I don't really see, y'all might call them socialist or commies. To me, I see dirty fucking liars. That's what I see.
The Minnesota Star Tribune editorial board described it this way, quote, "Battalions of armed federal agents are moving through neighborhoods, transit hubs, malls, and parking lots, and staging near churches, mosques, and schools. Strangers with guns have metastasized in spaces where daily life should be routine and safe. It feels like a military occupation. The occupation of Minnesota by ICE cannot stand. What we are witnessing is the storming of the state by the federal government," end quote. Since December, Donald Trump has surged federal agents to the Twin Cities under the guise of immigration enforcement. Thousands of ICE and Border Patrol agents have put the safety of residents in jeopardy, with escalating arrests and violations of fundamental constitutional rights that protect individuals from unreasonable seizures and searches without a warrant, and protect due process for everyone, citizen and non-citizen, without distinction. We are seeing horrifying videos of ICE agents battering down people's doors without a warrant, racially profiling people on the street, busting in car windows, and trying to intimidate and suppress the First Amendment rights to peacefully protest. And most visible and clear to the entire nation, the killing of Renee Good.
Yes! I love this game!
IXL is actually a learning app, but it's so fun he calls it a game.
I'm crushing it!
Yeah, you are.
Dance about what we saw with our own eyes, and the subsequent attempt to assassinate the character of Renee Good and her widow, all while blocking any fair, independent.
Right there, right? I didn't hear this earlier, I guess, when it started. But what has really changed when we say the same damn things about the police departments in our own communities? That's what I don't understand. Why aren't we having a hearing about what the MDH found, about what the DOJ found? Why don't we have talks about that? Why are we just talking about something that has happened that really is honestly not new? Because immigration policies and enforcement has always been a thing. It's just now that the border is really controlled, they can sit here and do street operations, right? Because I'm going to be honest, there's more ICE agents, federal, home security, whatever, than there is Minneapolis police, St. Paul, I'm gonna tell you like this: there is more FBI and federal agents than we have Minneapolis, Rochester. Like, do people understand what's really happening? It's because people are making these situations worse, not better, worse. Because I don't see nothing when kids or uh, people are committing crimes in Minneapolis or St. Paul, Rochester. We don't say shit, right? Not when it came to the fraud, not when it really came to the fentanyl, not really came to y'all have always blamed the black community. It was never about blaming the predicaments in our situations. Our It was never about that. It was always about if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense, right? I want people to think about that because I go back all the way to the end of 2020 when I started to author my resolution because Minneapolis had one. So did Hennepin County Medical Center. So I had contact with Andrea Jenkins and Cano. I think it was Cano. It's not a council. She's not a council member anymore. They're the ones that helped me author my resolution and Red Wing proclaiming racism a public health crisis. I worked with Minneapolis council members. I worked with their teams. Uh, so it's really crazy that like nothing's really changed. We did all this work, right? We did all this work to not get anything. The only people that have been succeeding and getting better are the people that get grants, the people who are paid by the government. Self-made is so far, that's like the 50s and 60s. We're not talking about now because now it's either you're rich because of the church, you're either rich because of the taxpayers, or you're rich because you say you're helping the poor. So basically, it's Peter stealing from his own community. I don't understand it. And everybody wants to talk about Bible and saying they're Christian, but we don't believe in eye for an eye. We don't believe in uh, taking care of our neighbors. So how can we really say that we're Christians? Because I will tell you like this: I believe in the Word of God. I don't know if I'm really a Christian. I know that I believe in God. That doesn't. I don't know what that makes me. Right? I don't. I've tried all the religions. It didn't matter if it was Mormon, Jehovah Witness, Muslim, shit. Go to prison. There's some weird ass shit in there. You got I don't forget what those white people are called. Uh it's on Ossetru or whatever, and it's like some Viking Slavic type shit, and then it's like what? And then it's only a white only religion. It's like, how the fuck is that? How do you have just white only religions? Like that doesn't make sense to me. So it's like, why are we sitting here screaming for help? And then when people come in here and doing investigations, or because right now that's what's happening. You're having so many people descend on Minnesota and they're bothering the daycares that are on the Secretary of State's. I'm not going to say bother, but investigate the daycares, autism centers, whatever they say they are on the Secretary of State. Now, if they go to that location and there's no business there, but we know that it's getting money because you can look at state pay. Like, come on, something's got to be wrong. That's not somebody being hateful. It's not somebody being racist. That's somebody that I don't even know what the fuck Nick Shirley's purpose. I don't even care. I know probably David Koch is probably maybe a Hodge, whatever is a little bit better. But I know at the end of the day, I don't care about your religion. I don't care about your sex. I don't care about your gender. I don't care about none of that. All I care about is that we're human beings, right? God told me to look at other human beings and care for them, love them. Doesn't matter if you're a Crip, doesn't matter if you're a Blood, doesn't matter if you're gay, doesn't matter if you're trans. I still love you, right? Because God says love all. I'm not here to judge you, right? So I don't care nothing about no man-made laws that are here to judge others, right? I don't care about that. What I care about is that we're all human beings and treating each other like we want to be treated. How is that so hard? How? I really don't understand that. And it's making me think about some of the shit I've said over the past couple of years about politics, because do I really want to see myself as a Republican? And small government, they care about self-sufficiency, they care about doing things on your own, right? But when it comes down to the Democrats, it's about handouts. It's about food stamps. It's about Section 8. Let's be honest, because it ain't nothing. It sure the fuck isn't anything about farm labor, because these niggas don't know anything about a goddamn farm anymore, and they sure the fuck don't know anything about labor. So come on, are people really gonna wake up, or are you still gonna keep on being on this goddamn plantation where you're letting other people think for you?
Of the ICE officer who shot her. Instead of making us safer, Trump is deliberately escalating tensions in a city where crime rates have been declining, and the tactics are only accelerating. Renee Good's killing was the 9th reported ICE shooting since September. Meanwhile, in the single year since Donald Trump entered office, 35 people have been reported by ICE to have died in ICE detention facilities. That is the highest number in 2 decades. Let me be clear. This pattern of reckless, even lethal use of force cannot continue, and we will do everything in our power to hold the administration accountable and stop this lawlessness.
See, what I don't understand is this about Donald Trump or is this about the people? Because I really do feel like this is a political ass shit. This is political. And if we go by the Constitution, right? What does our Constitution say? So if we really want to start changing some shit, we need to start changing it with legislation, amendments, because we're damn sure not going to do it this way. Damn sure not going to do it this way. And I don't understand why people believe that begging and pleading for help, because we've tried to do that. Let's be honest. We've tried to beg, and they only care now that they're going. That's what is crazy to me. Y'all only care because it's Trump. And I didn't even vote for the man. I don't like the man. I have my own reasonings. I don't know why other people dislike him. I know why I dislike him, right? I can say Central Park 5 and all the shit that him and his dad were doing to black tenants. Like, if you can't see the same thing with El Sharpton, y'all are, this is the whole thing what I don't understand, right? Y'all are okay with rats. You're okay with snitches. But yet, y'all call a man a pedophile who his 34 charges were, this is what I don't understand, right? Y'all get all type of fucking mad, and it's not even really honestly the truth. Somebody show me the truth, right? Because everybody that I know that has actually done shit to children, there's been really no accountability. I know a man in Rochester, right? He's in jail right now for 60 fucking days for having sex with a 14-year-old girl, getting her pregnant and have a baby, but only got 60 days. We have a problem. And can we be real about our problem? Or are we going to sit here and act like we don't have one? I really, really want to know. I really, really want to know, right? Are we going to keep on looking the other way? Or are we going to see our problems and start to fix it and not look the other way? Because who gives a fuck about the money? The money hasn't done shit because they wasted it and they have been fraudulent with it. So while we've been sitting here fighting for our reparations, our 40 acres and a mule, they've already have it. The CEOs, these so-called, whatever you want to call them, pastors, community leaders, but yet they don't live in the community that they pastor. They don't live in the community with the rest of their flock. So tell me, like, are these people really for us or for their own agendas?
Let me also be clear about something else. What is happening in Minnesota is a pattern that is dangerous to every single person in America. Because if they can erode the rights of some, they can do it to you. No one is safe. As one of only 24 naturalized citizens to serve in Congress today, someone who spent 17 years in the process to get my U.S. citizenship, this is very personal to me. Never in a million years would I have thought that I would see what I see on the streets of the United States of America. We cannot have a second tier of citizenship. We cannot undermine the contributions of immigrants from all over the world, and we must protect our democracy and our Constitution for all residents and our future generations. I'm grateful to our witnesses for being here today, and I now recognize Representative Ilhan Omar for 4 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you all for being here today. I want to thank Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal for co-hosting this field hearing to raise the alarm about Donald Trump's unlawful, aggressive, and authoritarian actions in the Twin Cities. I also want to thank my colleagues who came from across the country and testifiers for joining us here in Minnesota. What we are witnessing right now is unprecedented. There is no modern precedent for this level of federal overreach, violence, lawlessness carried out in the name of immigration enforcement. This is not routine enforcement. This is not about public safety. This is not even about immigration. This is about political retribution. The president said it himself this week. It is increasingly clear that the entire purpose of these actions is to provoke chaos and fear in order to justify invoking the Insurrection Act and expand the president's ability to rain terror upon American cities who do not vote for him. That is the context in which Renee Nicole Good occurred. This administration has unleashed primarily paramilitary force into our neighborhoods, terrorizing families, escalating enforcement, and now killing a U.S. citizen in our state. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Our office has received numerous reports of deeply questionable arrests, individuals detained without
I
exposure.
want people to realize what Ilhan just did, right? You know how the narrative was? She was a Minnesotan. Now she's a U.S. citizen. So now that the story has come out, the narrative has changed, right? We never hold them accountable when they lied to us. We just let them keep on lying. I don't really truly understand that. Like, what is really wrong with us as a country when we could sit here? Is it because we're desensitized? Because there's so much bullshit, right? Is it because we're desensitized to it and there's so many people that are doing it that we believe that it's right when it's actually ethically wrong? Like, I just want people to think.
Nation without warrants, without access to counsel, and in many cases without any discernible lawful basis at all. We have heard of agents pushing people because they look Latino or Somali, forcing them into car accidents where they smash windows, cut seatbelts, carry people away. Abandoned cars with broken windows have become a normal sight of daily life in the Twin Cities. Trump claims Operation Metro Surge is about targeting criminals. The reality is even more disturbing. They have deliberately blurred the lines between public safety threats, legal immigration, and U.S. citizens, creating an enforcement campaign so indiscriminate that citizens are being swept up, arrested, and carried away to detention facilities. In Minnesota, dozens of U.S. citizens have been taken into custody and released hours later. We have yet to see charges materialize because in nearly all instances, no federal charges are possible. Similarly, this administration has worked to reduce any semblance of due process, sending people out of state, specifically to prevent access to legal representation, separating them from their family, counsel, and open removal processes for refugees with no legitimate legal basis. This is the behavior of paramilitary force operating outside the bounds of law. This administration has been entirely unresponsive. Families cannot locate loved ones, attorneys cannot find their clients, members of Congress can't get answers about where people are being held. In North Minneapolis, doors have been battered down without judicial warrants, as ICE has conducted door-to-door operations with guns drawn, actions that are neither legal or precedented. People have been indiscriminately shoved in the streets, pushed into oncoming traffic, and nearly hit by buses. Flashbangs, pepper balls, and chemical irritants are used without a second thought. This is not the America we want. This is not the Minnesota we deserve, and we will fight back. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from our witnesses.
Thank you, Representative Omar. I now recognize Representative Betty McCollum for 3 minutes for an opening statement.
To my colleagues, I want to give you all a very warm welcome here to Minnesota. Today you're going to hear what's been happening in our state. The Trump administration is abusing its power of the federal government to deny people their civil rights and subjecting them to violence. And the killing of Renee Good by an ICE agent is an example. Minnesotans are being racially profiled on a mass level. We are being assaulted in our streets. They are being kidnapped from our communities. Parents are seized in front of their children by masked federal agents. High school students have been thrown to the ground and pepper sprayed on their own school grounds. And it's happening right here, right now. ICE and the Department of Homeland Security must suspend all their actions at once to stop the chaos and the physical danger. The actions of these agents, which are totally unprofessional and illegal, create great harm and fear. Sunday, I saw the fear in young children's eyes and their mothers at a Midway Target when ICE pulled into the parking lot. 1 hour later, I watched as ICE agents drove through the Menards parking lot. Because there was no place to stage, they left. Our neighbors were yelling at them, some things I won't mention in public, but my favorite part was keep on driving, keep driving right out of Minnesota. Clearly what I saw was not normal or right. Secretary Noem, you better be preserving your documents unaltered because you're going to be held to testify.
They want us to forget about the fraud.
President Trump, stop stoking the chaos in our neighborhoods. You are creating a dangerous escalation. Now, Minnesota, we're not taking the bait. To my fellow Americans in other states, these actions left unchallenged could mean you're next. People that you live alongside with will be denied their rights and their due process. Today you will hear the truth of what's happening in Minnesota. Minnesotans continue to be peaceful in your protests in the face of violence. Yes, in the face of violence. And keep on recording the actions of these federal agents, but do it safely. As we celebrate 250 years of the American experience,
even getting out of bed is a struggle.
Sounds like you're dealing with a lot of pressure.
And pain. It's
a republic, if you can keep it. Mr. Franklin was right. Self-governance is within all of us. I thank you, Pramila, I shouldn't be so informal, I'm sorry, and the committee for being here and gathering an amazing group of people that I heard from last night. Folks, be safe out there, but stand up for your rights because they're my rights too. I yield back.
Thank you so much, Representative McCollum. We're very fortunate to have with us both senators from the state of Minnesota. I now recognize Senator Amy Klobuchar for 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. We are gathered today because our state is once again the center of America's heartbreak. And it means so much, Congresswoman Jayapal and Omar, that you've brought this together, that we have people from all over the country to stand with us. And I want to thank our incredible leaders, the mayors, as well as
Incredible leaders.
General Ellison, who's been
It's really fucking
of these legal fights.
crazy.
ICE needs to get off our streets. They are causing confusion, chaos, and fear. They are literally chasing DoorDash delivery people into private homes where there are children. They are chasing down legal citizens in parking lots and wrestling them down, as the Congresswoman just noted, in front of Menards and in Targets. But instead of de-escalating the situation, the administration has doubled down. People are saying, look at my passport, look at my passport. Legal workers at our airport, Native Americans are being targeted on the way to their jobs. I recently met with principals in city and suburban schools in Minnesota, and they told me the horror stories of little kids scared, teachers being wrestled down in front of them in their school parking lot, graduates being stopped. And now the administration has chosen to send even more ICE officers, to the point now where there are nearly 3,000 of them, which is significantly more than the 1,100 sworn officers in Minneapolis and St. Paul combined, and equal to the sworn officers in 10 metropolitan police departments. This is completely, as the mayors know, out of balance, and it is chaos. We are telling our people who are so offended for their neighbors and are standing up, not just in organized protests, but are just standing up when they see it happen in stores. We are telling them to be peaceful and not to take the bait from the threats coming out of the White House, because in the end, these people would not be here from all over the country if they didn't believe that democracy will prevail, that the rule of law will prevail. But this is who we are in Minnesota. We are the people that slide down icy hills to get to a protest.
No, we're not.
We are the people
Fuck protesting
that
and don't do
quietly and
nothing.
loudly come together to help our neighbors. We are the people, in the words of Renee Good's wife, Becca, lost the love of her life, a mom of 3.
I shouldn't have told her to drive off. It's my fault. It's my fault. Okay.
And embrace compassion.
Motherfuckers are stupid.
So that is what I hope our representatives will pick up from their time in Minnesota and from our incredible witnesses today, that we're standing together, regardless, Democrats, Republicans, even though some people are louder than another. People know that this invasion is not what our state is about, and we're going to stand up. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar. Now recognize Senator Tina Smith for 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all so much for being here. I want to add my thanks to members of Congress who have made this trip to Minnesota to stand in solidarity with all of us, and also to the incredible local leaders, with my fellow members of the Minnesota congressional delegation, local leaders, the mayors here today, many state legislators that are in the audience, and particularly I want to thank the activists and organizers and community leaders that are in the audience, who are doing the work of keeping our communities as safe as we can. So, President Trump's illegal deportation campaign is leaving Minnesotans and Americans detained, arrested, injured, and killed, all the while trampling on our basic civil rights and due process. It is making us all less safe, it is dangerous, and it must stop. Renee Good, a United States citizen, a wife and a mother, was shot and killed by federal agents in broad daylight in the middle of a Minneapolis street. The federal government, within hours, labeled her as a domestic terrorist before they even knew her name, and are clearly attempting to cover up what happened. And in Minnesota today, people are literally calling 911 because they need protection from federal agents that are threatening their safety and their security. ICE agents are blatantly profiling Black and brown and Asian people and Native Americans. And this is happening not just in Minneapolis and St. Paul, but in suburbs and small towns and communities all over Minnesota. Now, many of these agents are clearly poorly trained, which puts us all in danger, but they are also hostile and emboldened because they have been told, starting with the vice president, that they have 100% immunity. And as a result, people are getting hurt and even killed. And of course, just yesterday, the president literally threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act, which amounts to declaring war on the state of Minnesota. I am so grateful to all of you here today who are going to help us tell this story, not only to Minnesota, but to the country, because we know that most Americans do not support this blatant illegal activity. And the more they hear about what is happening, the more They will add their voices to the powerful resistance that we are seeing here in Minnesota, and that is the way that we will win this important fight. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Senator Smith. We are fortunate to be joined with two members of our House Democratic leadership. Ted Lieu, the Vice Chair of the House Democratic Caucus, is here, and I now recognize House Democratic Caucus Whip
Shaking his
Catherine
head when she
Clark
drinking
for an
that
opening
water.
statement for 2 minutes.
Hell, you scared about, Tina?
Thank you so much, and I am so pleased to be here. So pleased to be here. Thank you, Congresswoman Jayapal, for bringing us together today. And thank you to Congresswoman Omar and McCollum for hosting us in the Twin Cities. To Mayor Fry, to Mayor Herr, and to Attorney General Ellison, of the to be here while your community and state is under siege and weighed down by injustice. The sheer number of colleagues that we have in attendance underscores how deeply the pain of Minnesota is felt across the entire country. And it reflects what the American people understand about this moment, that if this terror can be on the people of Minnesota, it can be directed on any of us. If the sovereignty of this state, its local police and prosecutors can be threatened by the untrained recruits that Kristi Noem has fashioned into a mass paramilitary force, then none of us have true security. And if the shooting of Renee Good can be deemed justified without investigation, then we know all of our freedom is threatened. I want to thank the people of Minnesota for their resolve and grit, for their courage, and for turning towards each other in love instead of turning away in fear. You are setting a model for how we respond with strength and community. And to our witnesses, we thank you for speaking out and sharing your stories. Your courage inspires us, and we will be taking your voices to all of our work that lies ahead in these perilous days. Thank you again, Congresswoman, for pulling us together and for being here. I am so grateful to be part of this important and urgent discussion, and I yield back.
Thank you so much, Whip Clark. For those of you who are looking to use Wi-Fi, you can use Ledge Public Wi-Fi, and there's no password. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's witnesses for our first panel. Keith Ellison was sworn in as Minnesota's 30th Attorney General on January 7th, 2019. As the people's lawyer, Attorney General Ellison's job is to help Minnesotans afford their lives and live with dignity, safety, and respect. From 2007 to 2019, Attorney General Ellison represented Minnesota's 5th congressional district in the United States House of Representatives and served as a dear friend and colleague for many of us on this dais. Prior to Congress, Attorney General Ellison served 4 years in the Minnesota House of Representatives, as well as spending 16 years as an attorney specializing in civil rights and defense law. He received his law degree from the University of Minnesota Law School in 1990 and is the proud father of 4 adult children. Jacob Fry has served as mayor of Minneapolis since 2018, being re-elected twice in 2021 and 2025. A member of the Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party, he served on the Minneapolis City Council representing Ward 3 from 2014 to 2018. Prior to entering elected office, Mayor Fry worked as an employment and civil rights attorney and became an active community organizer. He also became involved in advocacy for those experiencing homelessness, helping tenants who lost their homes in North Minneapolis. Mayor Fry received his undergraduate degree from William & Mary and law degree from Villanova University. Kali Herr was sworn in as the 56th mayor of St. Paul earlier this year. She is the first woman, the first Asian American, and the first Hmong American to hold this position. Prior to being elected mayor, she served in the Minnesota House of Representatives from 2019 to 2025. Mayor Her was born in the mountains of Laos and came to the United States as a refugee at the age of 3. A strong work ethic, her family's tenacity, and support from her community propelled Mayor Her to the highest levels of our state government and now to City Hall, where she brings her years of lived experience across different sectors to help move St. Paul forward. I thank you all for your leadership in these incredibly difficult times and for being here today. We ask that you summarize your testimony in 4 minutes. To help you stay within that time, there is a timer here to keep track. Attorney General Ellison, you may begin.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman Jayapal. And words simply cannot embrace and capture how grateful we are for all of you to be here, to bear witness and to be present to what is happening in our beloved state of Minnesota right now. Your presence here is incredibly important and impactful, shining a light on what is the single most unjust thing I've ever seen happen to our state of Minnesota. The Trump administration's decision to target Minnesota and the Twin Cities, flooding our streets with thousands of federal immigration agents, is not about public safety. It's not about fraud. It's not even about immigration enforcement.
What's
it
it about,
is because, in the words of Donald Trump, he believes that he won our state 3 times, but he did not win it in the election. I'm quoting him. He's the one who said these words, not me. In fact, when he said what he said, it was so incredible that I had to replay it a few times to make sure that I heard that this was about vindictiveness and an election loss, not anything to do with any legitimate public interest. And you've heard already from the very accurate descriptions from our congressional presenters that we've seen attacks on high schools, over 3,000 agent surge, warrantless searches, killings, shootings, and none of this has done anything to help Minnesota. In fact, it has hurt Minnesota. In fact, it has diminished economic activity in our state, deprived schools' children from education, created barriers for public life, and has expanded costs on our state. You'll hear from both of our mayors how both of them are dealing with increased costs for overtime. I'll leave that to them to describe. But that is why the 3 of us joined together with the state of Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul to sue the Trump administration over Operation Metro Surge. Let me be clear. We're not suing because ICE is in Minnesota. They were in Minnesota last year. They were in Minnesota 10 years ago. We didn't sue them then. We sued them over this activity, which is unjustified, unconstitutional, damages our state, interferes with our sovereignty as a member of these United States, violates the Administrative Procedures Act, is arbitrary, capricious, and damaging to all of us. That is what this lawsuit is all about. And I just want to note that you've heard much about how the behavior of ICE is taxing our local law enforcement. But I want to be clear, local law enforcement is doing a good job. They're maintaining order in our state. The order, if there, to the degree there is a lack of it or a challenge, is directly and exclusively because of the Metro Surge authorized by the President of the United States. This is, and so as he contemplates the Insurrection Act, please know that we do not need federal authorities to help us maintain order. We need them to stop doing things. That is what is needed in this situation, and that is what we're demanding in our lawsuit. So let me just say that the family of Renee Nicole Good and the family of everyone who's been thrown to the ground, beaten, harassed, arrested in a warrantless search, anyone whose business has been destroyed, had to face closing their business because of this conduct, that we are standing with you. And we will not stand by idly as this injustice unfolds. We will stand up and assert all means legal to protect the people of our state. I will yield back.
Thank you, Attorney General. Mayor Frey, you may begin for 4 minutes.
Thank you, Ranking Member Jayapal, Congresswoman Omar, members of this committee. We are so grateful to have you here today. Our ask is that you take the things that you have seen and you have heard from Minnesota, you bring them back to your respective districts. You talk to your colleagues that aren't here with us. You talk to both Democrats and Republicans about the unconstitutional violations that are happening in Minnesota and Minneapolis. And we put a stop to this because what we're seeing on our streets is unnecessary abuses of force. This is an invasion for the sake of creating chaos by our own federal government to interrupt the daily lives of tens of thousands of people. As the Attorney General said, this is not about safety. This is not about immigration. This is about sowing chaos on the streets of Minneapolis. This is about political retribution. And we in Minneapolis are suffering the brunt of it right now. Let me tell you what that looks like. It looks like businesses closing. It looks like people on the streets that are terrified to get picked up. It looks like United States citizens getting taken somewhere where they don't know where they are going nor when they are going to return to their families. It's families torn apart. It's schools closing. It's an unnecessary expense of taxpayer dollars just to try to keep order. If this were about order, there would be a simple way to restore it. And let me tell you a secret. It's not restored by additional federal agents. Order would be restored, and I will make this prediction, if those federal agents left. As soon as they leave, we will have peace, we will have safety, and order will be restored. Before the federal agents came here, our city was experiencing a brilliant comeback. Indeed, we were on the way to a renaissance. Safety had been improved, crime was down in virtually every category, in virtually every neighborhood. Thus far in 2026, last I checked, we had only had 4 shootings. 2 of them were ICE. An entire city of 435,000 people, 4 shootings, and 2 of them were ICE.
You know what's crazy is he talks about the shootings, right? That we had 4 shootings all year and they were 2 were by ICE, right? But how many days? Because since they cut off, since we can't listen to the scanners and it's really hard to keep up with Minneapolis police or Hennepin County nowadays. So to be honest, I know the last time I checked it, it was like 1,700 in some days. It was like, I don't know even how many years. It was like 6 years that we had straight of shootings every day. But they're talking about the impacts of immigration and ICE, right? That's something that only, I did my little research about that, right? Because I'm trying to become a constitutional conservative. I want to be more about the Constitution, city charters, because that's how you run the country. And then the city charters are how you run cities, right? Every city has a charter. Pretty much, I shouldn't say every, but pretty much all of them have their own city charters. How their government is run, you can either have a strong mayor, which Minneapolis has. They're not insured. They're not in the league of cities. That's the reason why George Floyd was 27 million and Dante Wright was only 3.5. It's because Brooklyn Center has insurance. Minneapolis pays out of their own pocket, their taxpayers. So people need to understand, if you don't know anything about the Constitution, it's all federal. A lot of it is federal. It gave it to the states. The only thing they cannot do is only people that can fuck with immigration is federal. You can't make your own, even though they try. I shouldn't even say they try, they do, right? Because we have separation orders and we have sanctuary counties, ordinances, whatever, right? But when you really go back and look at it, the Constitution left it that it was only up for Congress and that no states could have any immigration laws. So that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. We're having Tim Walz, Keith Ellison, this little Asian ass woman, and all these little socialist motherfuckers in the Twin Cities, Rochester, whatever. They want us to get into a war because I can tell you like this: they are not going to be around. If you think that Cortez Rice, Jonathan Mason, or any of them are going to be on the front lines, come on, man. Y'all are even dumber than I think y'all even look. I'm going to be honest, because if you think that anybody who gets paid by the state or a city entity is actually going to put their hands in some dirt, come on, man. The only dirt that they do is the fraud that comes from Medicaid, taxpayer money, because when it comes to the people, they're nowhere around. They're always come when it's after it's over. They don't ever come when it's happening. Help always comes when all the chaos ends. Right? Same thing with the riots, the uprising. You know, they wanted to allow us to get out our feelings and or whatever, right? But every time there was people that, because I honestly do feel there was a lot of people who actually want to reform and change. There was people that got off the couch and that wanted to make a motherfucking difference. And then there was other people that saw this as an opportunity. They seen this as an opportunity to scam the people that they said they would take care of or that they were trying to help. The same thing. It's like, I don't understand it. Like, when are we actually going to do something that actually makes sense? When are we? Because they never did this about Amir Locke. They never did this about Dante Wright. They never did this about Dalal Aid. They never did this about Winston Smith. Tekelberg. There's so many names. So many names. But we haven't got justice. I don't know how many times in the past couple of days that I have seen other stories come up. I've seen the story about Noah Kelly, rest in peace. I've seen the story come up about Marcus Golden. Like, are we only bringing up old? I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but what is if we're doing it because we need justice, I understand it, because there's a lot of families that are overshadowed. Mariah Samuels. Why ain't nobody talking about her anymore? She wanted help. Minneapolis police never came. So why do we, this stuff, I don't fucking understand. Y'all, they tell y'all to call the police, who has predominantly over throughout history have never protected and served our community. So why would you call 911? That's a hypocrite. If you have trust issues with your police department, your local police department, if that's what I don't understand, right? And I've sat and thought about this over and over and over again, right? With the Renee Good situation. I still would not have told Ashley to drive off. Every time that I protested about police brutality, I've never had no weapon. Never had to have on a bulletproof vest. I've never had none of that. I've only had signs, my bullhorn, and my feet. So why do y'all go to a war where they have guns? Because when I was out doing street justice, there was always people that had guns, and they had more than one. So they made sure that other people, that at least the men, some of the men were able to have access to if something popped off, that there was a gun that they could have, so that we could protect our community. Why doesn't that happen? I really want, why? We got out protecting these businesses back when George Floyd happened. Y'all wanted to shoot at rioters. So why aren't you shooting at the ICE? They don't because it's against the law. That's why. Let's be serious. Y'all are not fighting back because, first of all, they're from the system, even though it's federal. That's why you don't see none of these Minneapolis police, St. Paul, Hennepin County, Wilmer, Waseca, Owatonna, Elbert Lee. You don't see none of these police departments getting involved. I literally watched the video yesterday that the lady was screaming and she's like, Policia, Policia, you're not going to do anything. No, they're not. Because federal law beats them. They're not going to touch y'all. I can tell you one thing right now. They're not going to touch no kind of police departments, no kind of law enforcement that is state, because federal beats them. It beats them. You think you care about, here's the thing of it is, y'all can try to charge the officer, the ICE agent that shot any of these motherfucking people, right? I would love to see them try to charge an ICE agent right now in this administration, because all you're trying to do is start a motherfucking civil war. That's what it would come down to. It would come down to states versus federal. How many police departments are going to shoot at federal agents? Federal law enforcement. How many people are going to shoot at the National Guard, at the Army, because they outgun us? Yes, we have a lot of guns in our communities, but come on, we don't have enough guns to beat the Army. Let's be serious, because the Minneapolis police, any kind of police department, are going to join the forces of ICE. They're not going to sit here and stand up. Come on, man. Y'all, the same thing that happens in other countries when they try to do coups, blah, blah, blah. Come on, man. Y'all will be overpowered. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee that these people wouldn't even bust a grape in a food fight. I don't understand. I seen it this morning. And I'll play a little bit after this, but out in, I think it was Eden Prairie, Edina, they fucked up 11 ICE agent cars. Do y'all not think something is going to happen? And then when it comes crashing down, we're going to see a lot of people who are crying wolf. But when we cry wolf, nobody was listening. So now that you guys are crying it, why should we listen? I'm going to be honest. Why should we listen? Every black person in America right now should be really looking at what's going on in Minnesota. And that'll show you right there that the 1965 Civil Rights Bill was a fucking joke, because it opened the door for these immigrants. They already had protections, but they wanted more. Now we have to look at 72 motherfucking genders instead of can a man get, this is the crazy thing. I haven't seen no motherfucking Democrat that can answer this question. Can men get pregnant? Why is that so fucking hard? Because I have a ball and I got 2 balls and a penis. I don't have I forget what the fuck. I'm so fucking fucked up right now. A uterus. I don't have a ovaries. I don't have a fallopa. I don't have none of that shit. I don't have none of that shit that women are born with for me to be able to have kids. So how can I sit here and say that men can have babies? Now, if we're saying that it's a trans man who is a woman, it's plausible that a trans man could get pregnant, because when he was born, he was biologically a woman. Make it make sense, people. Come on, it's not that fucking hard. We don't have to sit here and play games. The truth is the truth, right? Men cannot have babies. A trans man who is formerly a biological woman, who has a uterus, who has a fallopa, who has some eggs. Come on now, y'all don't make no motherfucking sense. This is why I laugh at a lot of people in America, because a lot of people, they like to dodge the question, can men have a baby? Because they don't ever have a plausible answer. They don't. Can biological men have a baby? No. Can a trans man have a baby? Yes, because that trans man was biologically a woman. Make it make sense. Come on, it's not hard. But of course, we in America only want to stand up for anything instead of something. And the people who do stand up for something are usually outnumbered. They're the minority, because the majority doesn't want unity, doesn't want peace, because they enjoy chaos. That's how they get paid. And people don't understand it, and they need to.
It is clear that the practices that ICE is using is unconstitutional. They are not methodical. They are not well planned out. They have taken people out of their cars to detain them on major streets, left the car running, not in park. Car rolls down the streets. You don't need to be a genius to figure out that that is not safe. We've had small children that have been damaged by the inhalation of some form of gas. We've had loose...
I want to hold on for a minute, right? Because MPD did a high-speed chase in a residential area. That's why we lost Blessings. They knew where the criminal lived. Linnell Frazier. That's how he died. Minneapolis police were doing a high-speed chase. So if we're going to really sit here and talk about how are we going to keep people safe, let's talk about all of it, not just ICE because it's Donald Trump, because he controls the feds, right? Y'all should have done more during motherfucking election time. I don't know what to fucking say. Elections have consequences. That's what I want people to know. I don't even get mad over this shit anymore, right? I don't get mad about Bobby Joe. I don't get mad about Vitor because it's a game. That's how politics is. There's a winner and there's a loser. Just like when I played basketball or I played football or I played PlayStation, there's a winner and you have a loser. You can't win. Everybody can't win. There is no picture. There is no life. There is no where everybody wins. We have to compromise. But why? That's what I don't understand, right? Is why can't we compromise? Why can't we compromise? Why isn't that easy? Why isn't the truth easy? Because they make it hard. They make it hard. I would rather stand with 10 people who stand on something than stand with 1,000 people who stand for anything. And that's what it used to be. Because when me and Marcus went over to 36th and Penn, when the 3 babies, there wasn't many people because there is no money in that. There is no money in really helping your community. There is none. There is, let's be honest. We had to use drug money. We had to use unemployment money that we were getting free from the state and the feds because of COVID. We never got no grant. We had to sit here and I'm going to tell you right now is that the 21 whole days of peace shit, they made us check in and on this fucking website, clock our hours, but yet they got paid through a grant from the state of Minnesota for taking care of their community, right? We were doing it for free. I don't want to get paid. That's why you don't see these violence interrupters going after people who are trying to, I shouldn't say try because he did, but steal a car and shot. I don't see no violence interrupters doing that. But yet there was people who in our own community who got in their own cars and started to chase a criminal. That's what it should be about. That's what it should be about. It shouldn't be all this fucking fake ass shit saying you're doing it, but you're really not, because there is no guardrails to see if you are actually doing it. That's why we're so fucked up, because it gets worse. They go back to the state or they go back to the city and say, we need more money to fix this. But nothing ever gets fixed. We're going into despair. People really need to wake up and smell the coffee, because what they're serving is not what we need.
Dogs that were left unattended in the streets after ICE arrested and drove away with its owner. This is not making Minneapolis safer. This is not about safety. And I think the main message here is this is not sustainable. We have had tens of thousands of people in our city beautifully stand up for one another. They've showed this entire country who we are, how you love your neighbor, how you make a commitment to the greater good in society. And we have seen consistent unconstitutional practice by ICE discriminating only on the basis of are you Latino, are you Somali, and then indiscriminate pickups thereafter. People are walking around on the street with their passports. That's not American. That's the furthest thing from it. Please take back to your respective constituencies and your colleagues the message of, if you love your own community, do not let this happen in ours.
Thank you, Mayor Fry. Mayor Herr, you're recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you. Friends, neighbors, and members of the United States Senate and House, welcome to our capital city of St. Paul, where we are a big city but a small community. I sit before you today, a newly sworn-in mayor of a city under siege by the federal government. Right now, federal law enforcement officers far outnumber local law enforcement officers in Minneapolis and St. Paul. The tragic effect of this occupation are rippling far and wide throughout our communities. Beyond the immediate and tragic human toll of rounding up our residents based on what they look and sound like, the economic impacts on our city are far-reaching and likely unquantifiable in the near term. St. Paul Public Schools need to close so that they can offer remote learning for students so that they can feel safe in their learning. We've received reports of federal law enforcement officers going door to door asking people where the Asian people live, right in our very own city. I myself have received advice to carry my passport with me because that they may try to target me based on what I look like as well. Our immigrant, refugee, and communities of color are hurting. I've been meeting with immigrant business owners to develop plans to throw them a lifeline and help them stay afloat. I've heard from them that some of their sales have dropped 60% if they're even able to stay open at all.
It's crazy that they're sitting here doing a field hearing over ICE operations in Minnesota, but on 24th and Cedar right now, they're evicting a homeless encampment. How does that make it safe? Come on, people. How does that make it safe? He's sitting here and telling y'all about ICE operations in Minnesota, but yet at the same time, his city of Minneapolis, Public Works, police officers, State Patrol, violence interrupters are all descending on a homeless encampment. That just shows what we really stand for. That really shows what we stand for. It's not with the people of America. It's for people who have either naturalized and became a U.S. citizen and want that American dream, or it's an anchor baby. Let's be honest. There's a lot of motherfuckers. Keith is not from Minnesota. Neither is Jacob Fry. I saw only 2 people out of this whole shit was from America, that was born in Minnesota and raised. Everybody else wasn't. I think the only one that was Plymouth, Minnesota, and then there was another one. But majority, they're not from here. They're not from Minneapolis. So they don't know when we say Minnesota nice, they don't know what that means. That's why Minnesota nice is not the same Minnesota nice that we were used to. Minnesota nice now is lying to motherfuckers. It's spinning a narrative. That's what I want people to understand. That's why Minnesota nice does not mean Minnesota nice anymore.
They are relying on community networks and volunteers to secure their entrances and monitor their parking lots. It is draining their resources and ours. Our law enforcement officers are responding to incidents across our city in which residents are feeling threatened and having their rights violated. Car accidents caused by ICE agents, leaving physical injuries and hazards on our roadways. They have fired shots in our streets, and we've heard from citizens who were held in detention centers in a...
Yeah, I can't do no more. Maybe that's just because I heard this shit earlier from her, but I just seriously can't do it. So this is going on tomorrow in Chicago. It's progressive power players take over Chicago to map Democrats' 2026 playbook. This is not a boring political conference. This is politics as entertainment. People are losing lives, and we're going to make it a dancing party. We're going to make it entertainment. Come on now. Are y'all? This shows you they're not really serious about change. These are all the people who are going to be in Chicago. You're going to have Jolly, scamming ass. I remember him from Akron, fake ass. He came to Minneapolis too as well, because I met him through Cortez. Same thing with Jacob Blake. Same thing with Bianca Austin, who was Breonna Austin's aunt. Like, come on, man. But then when I seen all these people start getting money, envelopes from been crumb, but you're not taking care of your community. You scam off of it. We've seen PPP loans that have no businesses, and people lied and said they had businesses. You know what's crazy is we sit here and think motherfuckers is not fraudulent. I know a nigga that got some gold ass teeth and paid $30,000 from it. Paid $30,000. All from unemployment, donations from his walk. Nobody cared. That's what I don't understand. And then this is the crazy part. Motherfuckers want to talk shit because me and Ashley were homeless. We didn't have the government paying our rent. So I really want people to sit here and look at it. We didn't have the government to help us pay rent, just like all these other motherfucking Democratic ass people, because it was all a scam. That's what, yeah. This shit don't even make no sense. Jam, oh jam. Come on, man. This shit is bogus. All they care about, common ground flips the script. That's crazy because they're in Chicago, and Chicago's trying to flip Chicago red. Crazy. 2 days of political workshops, panels, and at night you will not forget. Oh, well, they got ice. This should be crazy. Dylan Blaha, Demi Palik, Kat Abugalaza. Expect an honest, unfiltered conversation about surviving this So is it just about surviving this administration? Or are we trying to survive in this world where we have two parties who don't care about the people and who are trying to cause chaos? And we're allowing them to win. We're allowing them to win. Whatever. Zero grassroots. Zero corporate money. Common ground isn't a spectacle. It's infrastructure built in public. This shit is crazy. I truly do not understand it. If you care about small donor power, coalition building, politics that actually wins, this is where the next chapter actually begins. I think if you're in the community and you're speaking about the community and you're standing up for it, that's grassroots. You don't care about donations because that's popularity. People only donate to things that are popular, not the things that they need to be able to change America. No, this is a live comedy driven experience that feels more like a late night show than a panel discussion. Come on, man. This y'all are crazy. Crazy. All this is after the Real Housewives style reunion format. Wow. Grassroots. That's not grassroots. I don't really truly understand you people, especially when it comes to the Democrats. I really are progressives, whatever, liberals, whatever the fuck they want to call themselves. It seems like, number one, they're not about the U.S. Constitution. They don't fucking know anything about it because, first of all, immigration laws are all done in Congress. Anything to do with immigration is done in Congress and the Supreme Court. So why ain't y'all going up to Congress and trying to make immigration different? Because everything that they're doing, Trump and his Republicans, is Project 2025, whatever the fuck y'all want to call it, is to make sure it's about Americans. Even when it came to natural citizenship, naturalized or whatever they want to call it, that was about descendants of African slaves. That was for people who have been here their whole life, not for people who are just coming over here and faking it to get to the American dream, being fraudulent, wasteful. No, that's not what America's about. Our values are not about that. We're not about scamming. We're not about being fake to each other, because I remember how I grew up. I'm not going to say that it was the best, right? I came from in a community that at the age of 3, my mom and dad were, I'm not even going to say divorced, they were separated. My dad left. My mom got into a whole nother relationship. But it always was, and this is one of the reasons why she never got on rental help or anything because they always never wanted to allow the man to live in the house. So fuck that. So she went to worked 2 jobs, and Rick or any of them niggas that she was with did what they did. She sold liquor on Sundays when liquor stores weren't open. You could come to my house, get your beer, get your um, malt liquor, you can get your Hennessy. My mom had all that shit. She would always go to Big Top Liquors right over there on Washington in downtown, right? Her and my aunt Sharon would go over there and get a whole bunch of fucking liquor, right? Saturday. It was even there in Chicago and Lake. Or not Chicago Liquors. Man. Because I grew up, liquor wasn't, you couldn't go to the liquor stores on Sundays because they were closed. You couldn't buy. We had the off-sale places. You could go over to Wisconsin. But yeah, we've never, not until the last, I'd say about like 10 years, that we really think about it. Because I know I had friends that when I was in high school that would go with their parents over to Wisconsin and to their campgrounds or whatever. And because Wisconsin would allow those people to drink, it was okay because they were in Wisconsin. And because they were with their parents, it was okay. So Wisconsin had some weird ass laws, but I lived over in Wisconsin for a little while with my nephew. And we could bring them to the bar. As long as they were with adults, they were okay. And as long as we were buying them alcohol. So I had really seen it that it was really never about what's right. It's about what are we allowed to do? Not about if it's right or wrong, but how far can we take it? So, yeah, this is the beginning, not the end of a larger cultural movement. The real fight for American politics. The whole thing of it is like, I don't feel it's about American politics. I really don't. I really do not feel like it's about American politics. It's about globalism politics. It's about, I don't even know. I know when it comes to I'm not saying that the Republicans are any better, right? Because they're all the same. It doesn't matter. They're a label. It's a title. We, the people that built America, our ancestors. That's what I don't understand is like, how can we allow people that have just came over here in the last couple of years take credit for what our ancestors who have bled, who have died, to make sure that we had these protections, these rights, and we're allowing other people who just got over here to be able to have that same American dream that our ancestors died for. My uncle, Willie Francis, was executed not once, but twice in Louisiana for a crime he didn't commit. Said that he killed a police officer. The man didn't know how to drive and sure the fuck didn't have no access to a gun. So, because he was black and because he didn't know no better, his family was poor, he was sacrificed. I shouldn't even say sacrifice because I don't think that's a good word for it. His family was traumatized. And to this day, my family still has problems with it. Oh, you good, you good. But that's what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? And I did talk about common ground for a minute, and I talked about how they're coming over here. I don't know if they'll go live at all, if they'll try to keep it private. But you see who it all is. People that are fake. It's not about real change. People that would rather have numbers, clicks, likes, follows than actual real change. That's what's crazy. I just really want people to understand that. So this even came out of just a little while ago. I guess it was earlier today. 2 children, including a 6-month-old, were hospitalized last night after federal agents deployed tear gas during Wednesday night's protest, according to the Minneapolis Office of Community Safety. Now, my thing of it is, this wouldn't have happened. If people were actually peacefully protesting, not throwing water bottles full of water that they put in the freezer and made ice out of it, right? That's what they do. Rocks, snowballs. How is that peaceful? How is that peaceful? And why are you bringing your children to protests that you know are going to get out of hand? I stopped that a long time ago. I stopped that back in 2020 when we became part of the 646. I drove, well, I didn't drive. There was fuel in my car or whatever, but we came in a group from Red Wing all the way down to Minneapolis to march, and we got arrested. We are known as the 646. That's when I figured out there's nothing that I can do. Doesn't matter how much I say I want to protect somebody, because I can't protect him. Not when it comes to police, not when it comes to, well, I know I can protect from other people, but not when it comes from like governmental agencies, because they have more power. They have more reach around than I do. And that's always how it's been. You know, they want to sit here and talk about ICE destroying families. What about how Minnesota has been destroying families for years? For years, you would have mothers who didn't know any better because they were poor and didn't nobody want to help them. Hennepin County had them sign papers to become a ward of the state. My mom was one of them. My mom signed the paper, right? Because a lot of people don't know my story. I'm not afraid to talk about it because I've grown up from that. I've matured from that. I didn't want to be like that anymore. That's the same way why I'm not with BLM, the NAACP, or even a Democrat, progressive, liberal, because at the end of the day, you don't have those family values. You're not about family. You're not about right and wrong. You're about a political group. The same thing when it comes to the Republicans. So it's like we're always going to look at other people as a title. We're always going to look at other people as something different because that's the way we've been indoctrinated. The truth is the truth. And I don't understand why people have such a hard time with it. I really don't. I did want to show a video. Actually, before we get out of here, I think I'm going to do 2 more videos. And they're not long. One of them, okay, so here's the first one I'll play. And the other one is with Walter. Even though I don't really believe everything he says, I do believe that he had a good topic. I'll go there with it. I think he had a good topic to talk about. So here is News Nation, and they were down at the Whipple building, but this is people protesting.
News happening right now. Protests escalating again in Minneapolis after a second ICE-involved shooting. That shooting happening last night. But as we give you this live look right now, there are reports of federal agents firing pepper balls and arresting protesters. This is at the Whipple Federal Building in Minneapolis. Now, President Trump is today threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act to deploy troops there. All of this happening as we learn some new details about the fraud investigation, which was a big part of why the feds were sent to Minnesota in the first place.
I do think that the Insurrection Act is coming. I do think that, not even think, I do believe. I believe that the Insurrection Act is coming. I don't know about this weekend or even today. I know that Tom Homan and DeVorder Cesar and Donald Trump are supposed to have a meeting today. But I don't know if the Insurrection Act comes out from that. I think the Insurrection Act comes out from things that have happened since Wednesday. You've seen agents' cars get broken into. They're spray painting them. They're stealing guns. They're stealing things that are not public information. Whatever they want to say that it's public. If you steal something, that's not public. That's not public information. And if you haven't got it off a website, like Minnesota Court Records or the GIS or transcripts from court or even the court records, I don't know what y'all are doing, because that's not, if you took it from a federal agent's car and you're calling that public information, how was that public if it was for only their eyes? That's not public information. And if you have never gone to court for an HRO or any civil case, family, a lot of these people don't know what they're talking about. And you can obviously tell that they don't stand for something and they fall for anything.
They care more about Somali criminals than they do about handicapped Minnesotans, because real people are hurt in these programs. I've been a victim in these programs. The Department of Human Services, law enforcement, and all the caseworkers and the managers and the politicians did nothing. It was a protection racket set up to protect the Somali providers. And I'm a living example of it, because I would call all these places. I would call the auditor's office. I would call the attorney general's office. They did absolutely nothing.
A News Nation continues to uncover fraud accusations as we dig deeper into a wide-ranging scandal in Minnesota that's topped headlines. And now another victim coming forward saying funding that should have gone to his medical services instead was funneled directly into the hands of criminals, with the state paying hundreds of thousands for services he never received, and then he says turned a blind eye when he tried reporting the fraud. News Nation's Rich McHugh is live in Minneapolis. Rich, you have been digging into this now latest scandal.
Yeah, hi, Nicole. Keen Pence's story really puts this all into perspective, the fraud into perspective. 50 years old, fifth generation Minnesotan. 5 years ago, he had a stroke and became handicapped. And so here's a person who actually needs these services, signed up for these health services, but they never were provided. What's more, the state ultimately paid these providers for services they were not providing him.
That's crazy.
I was in a program called Integrated Community Support for 11 months before I received any service. They were only charging $276 a day. That's $100,000 a year.
Damn.
Sure.
11 months and you didn't receive any service?
I think someone took me to Target once, but it was supposed to be, my plan was for 7 hours a day. I wasn't getting 7 hours a week.
Wow.
And that would be taking me out, doing things with me, checking in on me. I saved all the billing records, and there were a number of days I was gone. I go on a Jesuit retreat. Every single one of those days I was gone, they charged the full amount. Nobody even looked in on me.
Wow.
If I had died in my bed, they wouldn't have even known.
Now, Pence saved all of those records. He showed them to us when he realized he never received these services. It's just outrageous. He also saved the denials from the Department of Human Services. Take a look.
And look at these, page after page after page, every month I would save them. And I would say to people, you got to pay attention to this. This is one person. They budget a massive amount. That's just for me. Okay, so that's why so many people are taking advantage of these services. They're like, we'll spend $75,000 on Kane for this. It doesn't matter if I get the services or not.
Right.
They're paid it.
Shows all the hours that they're billing. All of it just nonsense.
This is what you filed the maltreatment.
Your report was assessed.
Yeah, and no further action. So every time, at least a half dozen times, I got this letter.
Wow.
And my
there will be no further action.
Yeah, that's the key line.
Now, in September of this year, last year, sorry, after untold attempts to sound the alarm on this, Kane spoke to the Department of the Oversight Committee here on fraud. The very next day, he says he received a call from the Department of Human Services calling to investigate.
All right, Rich McHugh, live for us today.
See, that's my thing, though. It's always when it's too late. And that's the thing. That's the thing that I will never understand of like, how can we be okay as people when people only show up when it's too late? And I don't get that. I really don't understand that. Man, I don't know what to say. I know it's going to be a long weekend. Hope people are staying safe, staying warm. It's going to be really cold. And be blessed, man. Be blessed. Don't let others cloud your judgment, your thinking. Because when we know better, we're supposed to be doing better. And with that being said, I'm going to get up out of here. I'll be back Monday, same time, same place. I'm going to get up out of here with Don Trip Toy Box. And I want y'all to Have a great weekend, man. Have a great weekend, and everybody be safe. And I'm gonna get up out of here, and I'll see y'all Monday. Oh, whoops! I didn't even put it on the right shit yet.
I'm a one-on-one. It's a cold, cruel world, better bundle up. It's that dope, so let me cook it till it bubble up. This staccato punching, ain't no fucking uppercuts. I'm so with this shit, my pockets got the bubble guts. I'm still somewhere in that water like a rubber duck. I'm still a kid at heart, I make the money double dutch. Bronco wrapped apart, that side look like a Tonka truck. It's okay if you don't fuck with me, I promise it's fine. These rappers hate me more than all my baby mamas combined. They coming for me, please alert me when the moment arrives. Trying to clean 260 guns one at a time. I would bow down to no man, I don't need no more friends. Cause I got the same team like I'm running Pro-Am. Me and all this fucking money got a lovely romance. What I consider gun control is holding mine with both hands. All this paper I've been stacking fits in no rubber band. They ain't wanna help me up, now I got both upper hands. Fly my lady to Miami, let her feet touch the sand. Yeah, I brought sand to the beach and I fall asleep in her clam. Let's get rich while we at it. Count the chicken and vanish. Think I'll do anything for free. We got a misunderstanding. Solo